Hey Krishna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopeshwara Gopika Kanta Radha Namaste Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusureshi Pranamami Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvaya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Welcome all the devotees. Today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're continuing to read from Canto 5th, chapter number 1, text 6th. So yesterday we read up to text 5 and we saw how Parikshit Maharaj is putting forward a series of questions to Shukadeva Goswami, asking how is it that Maharaj Priyavratha, who had taken the path of renunciation, again came back to the worldly life, the life of marriage, the life of dealing with the matter in this world. And again he put forward another question, that after accepting this life, after getting into it fully, how is it that again he renounced successfully and perfected his life and attained Krishna Prem? So Shukdev Goswami begins to answer in the text number 5, which we discussed yesterday. And he says that once someone has tasted the honey at the lotus feet of the Lord, it is very difficult for that person, it's impossible for that person actually to go back to material life. And even if he does, he doesn't get satisfied. And Prabhupada explains in the purport 2 reasons for a devotee, for a very good devotee fixed in devotional service, to go away, to slip from devotional service. So he says, so this is not regarding like change of ashram from brahmacharya ashram or sannyas to grihastha ashram, but he is talking about the slip which happened to Maharaj Priyavratha. So he says either it is by Vaishnava Aparadh or it is by the Lord's desire. So we discussed some examples in relationship with that. And now let's go to the verse number 6. So from verse number 6 onwards start the series of prose. So the verses which cannot be recited. So we'll just go ahead, we'll just read the translations. Anyone would like to read the translation of verse number 6?
Shukadeva Goswami continued. My dear king, Prince Priyavratha was a great devotee because he sought the lotus feet of Narada, his spiritual master, and thus achieved the highest perfection in transcendental knowledge. With advanced knowledge, he always engaged in discussing spiritual subjects and did not divert his attention to anything else. The prince's father then asked him to take charge of ruling the world. He tried to convince Priyavratha that this was his duty as indicated in the revealed scriptures. Prince Priyavratha, however, was continuously practicing Bhakti Yoga with constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus engaging all his senses in the service of the Lord. Therefore, although the order of his father could not be rejected, the prince did not welcome it. Thus, he very conscientiously raised the question of whether he might be diverted from devotional service by accepting the responsibility of ruling over the world.
Yeah. Would you like to read the purport as well?
Purport. Shri Narottam Das Thakur has sung Chariya Vaishnava Seva Nishkara Payeche Keva. Without serving the lotus feet of a pure Vaishnava or spiritual master, no one has ever attained perfect liberation from material bondage. Prince Priyavratha regularly served the lotus feet of Narada, and thus the prince perfectly understood transcendental subjects in truth. Sa Tattvaha. The word Sa Tattvaha means that Priyavratha knew all the facts about the spirit soul, the supreme personality of Godhead, and the relationship between the spirit soul and the supreme personality of Godhead. And he also knew all about this material world and the relationship of the spirit soul and the supreme lord within the material world. Thus, the prince decided to engage himself only in rendering service to the Lord.
Just a minute. Thank you. So after this first paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explains in the second paragraph the secret of living in this world for a devotee. It's a very beautiful paragraph. This is one of the places where Prabhupada directly says how a devotee should live. Very directly. Just see it. It is self-explanatory.
When Priyavratha's father, Swayambhuva Manu, requested him to accept the responsibility of ruling over the world, he did not welcome the suggestion. This is the symptom of a great, liberated devotee. Even though engaged in worldly affairs, he does not take pleasure in them, but remains always absorbed in the Lord's service. While thus serving the Lord, he deals externally with worldly affairs without being affected. For example, although he has no attraction for his children, he cares for them and educates them to become devotees. Similarly, he speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he is not attached to her. By rendering devotional service, a devotee acquires all the good qualities of the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna had 16,000 wives, all of them very beautiful, and although he dealt with each of them as a beloved husband, he was not attracted or attached to any of them. In the same way, although a devotee may enter family life and act very affectionately toward his wife and children, he is never attached to these activities. This verse states that by serving the lotus feet of his spiritual master, Prince Priyavratha very soon attained the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness. This is the only way to advance in spiritual life. As stated in the Vedas, Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha guru tasya te kathita yartha prakashante mahatmana. If one has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord and his spiritual master, the essence of all Vedic knowledge is revealed to him. Shveteshwaratara Upanishad 623. A devotee always thinks of the Lord continuously. While chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the words Krishna and Hare immediately remind him of all of the Lord's activities. Since his entire life is engaged in the service of the Lord, a devotee cannot forget the Lord at any time. Just as an ordinary man always engages his mind in material activities, a devotee always engages his mind in spiritual activities. This is called Brahma Satra, or meditating upon the Supreme Lord always. Prince Priyavratha was perfectly initiated into this practice by Sri Narada.
Yeah. Very beautiful purport, isn't it? So, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here that how King Priyavrat, or not King Priyavrat, I mean Priyavrat now, he was not at all interested in any worldly affairs. Why? Because he was deriving the juice of the nectar at the lotus feet of the Lord. And we can see this in ISKCON. Devotees, if you offer them some managerial posts or this or that, they're not interested. They kind of become materially lazy. Not that they become lazy, but only materially. They try to minimize their, as minimum as possible. They try to do their material stuff. On the other hand, spiritually, they become so active. So this is actually the perfection of life. People may call it as lack of ambitions or this or that. Don't talk about ambition with devotees. Their ambitions are so high, you can't even compare. Going to Golok Vrindavan, you don't even talk about moon or Mars. It's way beyond that. So we can see like His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he was age 74 and he was so ambitious. He was starting a project in D-Land. I don't know where that is, somewhere here in the US. Florida, yeah. So I heard like 120 acres. So even at that age, and we can see Vaishya Maharaj also. So ambitious. Every year, right? Number of books and everything. So devotees actually, they live in such a, when Prabhupada was asked that Swamiji, your people, they don't work hard. They're always like chanting, dancing, and just enjoying life. Prabhu said, why should they work hard? Rich man's sons don't have to work. So Prabhupada meant to say, Arey, you're taken care by Krishna. You do minimum work and you lead a smart life. That's how. So in Bhakti Marg, both the ashramas, they are only means to attain Krishna. None of the ashramas are actually the end. They're only the means. But sometimes Maya makes a person confused between the end and the means. I've seen brahmacharis who say to each other, Prabhu, please chant attentively. Nowadays, you're not chanting attentively. If you do not chant attentively, then material desires will creep in and you'll have to change your ashram. 1 minute. Ashram was there to facilitate chanting better so that you can attain Krishna prem. You can revive your love of Krishna. Not that you use purification by Krishna consciousness to remain in brahmacharya ashram. So if brahmacharya ashram becomes an obstacle or is unfavorable to please Krishna, then that must be rejected. Just as any other thing, like just as married life, a person may reject so that he can more favorably serve Krishna. Similarly, one has to reject the path of renunciation if that is becoming unfavorable to serve Krishna. So often in India, the young boys in colleges, so they wish to join like prematurely. Let's not say prematurely. Let's say like in middle of the college, like they're not finishing their college. Okay. So now in India, it becomes a very big news, and so many others get affected, like in society. Media can make a big scene out of it, and the parents, and here nobody is bothered, like Prabhu was sharing with me. So that's a big plus in US, like, but in India, so they can't even join just after finishing college. Yeah, it will become a wild news, and then so much anti-preaching will happen just because of that. So like there have been cases where uh, boys have started saying that, oh, these brahmacharis, these senior devotees, they are probably envious of us because they're not allowing us to join early. Yeah, sometimes they misunderstand, but how to explain, that right now if you join, it's unfavorable for Krishna's service. Practically that entire outreach in that college will stop for several years because that much, and it has happened. It has happened. So many cases have happened like that. So prematurely, like they want to do. So if something is unfavorable for Krishna's pleasure and for Guru's service, then anukullena sankalpa and pratikulya savarjanam. So one should reject that actually. Just like for Ajamila, looking at that couple who were just enjoying worldly pleasures right in the public domain. So that was unfavorable for his devotional service. Similarly, for someone else, something else may be unfavorable. For Bharat Maharaj, uh, tending to the deer was unfavorable. So one has to see what's unfavorable for that particular devotee in that circumstance. So, and for a serious seeker, Maya may really sometimes put forward such attachments which may appear to be very Krishna conscious. But one has to see whether it is ultimately pleasing Guru and Krishna, Hari Guru Vaishnavas. So here, astonishment of Parikshit Maharaj was not just that Priyavratha was a brahmachari since like thousands of years, which he was, but the astonishment was that he was a Bhagavatottama. Bhagavatottama means the highest quality of pure devotee. Despite that, how can he enter married life? Like it's which as we discussed, we can see even within ISKCON, devotees of the highest quality, they will not like to so much have management meetings and other things. They'll say, okay, let's maximize katha and kirtan, Nach re Amar. Yesterday evening, it was going on and on. Yeah, amazing. And I was like trying to see the faces of all the devotees who were just dancing, They also never wanted it to stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the nature of a devotee. He'll just relish Krishna Katha. You tell him that Prabhu, maybe you can get more money. If he gets more money, he'll spend in Krishna's service only. He'll remain a pauper. So for a devotee, that's the nature of a devotee because he's getting the higher taste. Yeah. So Priyavrat later on agrees to renounce the spirit of renunciation, which actually was the highest offering at the lotus feet of the Lord. And therefore, even though he took the risk for the Lord and he kind of slipped away, yet he was protected. I heard that Brahmanand Prabhu and several other proper disciples, Prabhuji can correct me, um, like so some of them who kind of had a time out from devotional service, but because they had pleased Prabhupada earlier by rendering so many services, so actually they were many of them they had very special experiences of coming back or some very special circumstances in their like last moments or last days, and Krishna reciprocated with them and took them back to Godhead. So so that is the fund. Ultimately, it's about pleasing Guru and Krishna. So in the other, I always used to wonder in Prabhupada books when I used to read, Prabhupada would always say, he would keep bhakti yoga in one category and all the other paths in other categories. And he would say, this is a personal path. So I would wonder that at least, like if you talk about the Hatha Yoga, that is also a personal path because they are dealing with Paramatma. He's a personality. So, okay, if you talk about Jnana Yogis and also fine, agreed. But why is Prabhupada categorizing even Hatha Yogis who are dealing with a personality? They agree that Lord is a person. Why is he putting them also in that category? So later on, I got answer in one lecture of Prabhupada. Prabhupada explains that it is only in Bhakti Yoga that the practitioner depends upon the grace of the Lord, mercy of the Lord. That is his strength. In all the other yoga paths, the practitioner is depending upon his own ability to attain something, including the Hatha Yoga. And therefore, that is not pleasing to the personality of Lord, Godhead. So that's what in this verse he's explaining that for a devotee, although he does not relish worldly things, yet he does them out of responsibility to Krishna. As Prabhupada explains in the middle paragraph, that like Deva Prabhu goes to office, I'm sure he must not be relishing, yet he does it, right? Many devotees like they may not relish, uh, but then they do it. Like here, I saw many Grihastha devotees. Their first love and primary identity is with Krishna, but then they are good. They must be competent in their professional life also. Otherwise, how are they surviving here in Bay Area? Hare Krishna. So, shall we go ahead? Any comments? Anyone? Yes, bro.
Do you have any tips on how to? I had two questions. One was, how does one engage in worldly affairs without being attached, without sounding fake? Because
Yeah.
you could be to another person if you're not really.
If we are sincere, then we can fake it till the time we make it. That's all right. Yeah. It is said that we can act enthusiastic till the time we become enthusiastic. Prabhupada told to one devotee, like, he said, I'm not feeling like paying obeisances to you. Prabhupada said, still you do it. And one day you'll feel like doing it.
What about for worldly affairs? Because I think it was mentioning in the purport to detach yourself, but at the same time, look like act like you're.
Yeah, this was the advice of Lord Chaitanya to Raghunath Das Goswami, that externally you act like a worldly person in terms of not doing sins, but that you show affection to your parents. Let them have that joy. There's no problem. And when the right time comes, you just leave from there. Because while you are serving as their son, you should also meditate in your heart, continue to meditate in your heart on Radha and Krishna only.
So it's like a responsibility kind of.
It's like a responsibility. It's like accepting Krishna's will because Krishna has put us in that situation or role. So not that we artificially try to enhance it. We go and accept more and more unnecessary roles in this world. Yet while we are supposed to have those roles, as a gentleman, as a person who can actually represent Krishna. So we act like a dutiful person. In this 12th chapter of Gita, uh, there is a mention like one by whom no one else is put into difficulty. He is very dear to me. So, like in India, in many places you see people, they'll park anywhere because in India laws are quite lousy. Okay, so the laws are not very much enforced. So therefore, people just do whatever else they want. Even a simple act as I park my car in a very insensitive way, let others get you know affected by my act, let many others get affected. So then that act is also not pleasing to Krishna. So we try to live in such a way that we try our best. I mean, we can't be like an absolute truth. Really wish to have. Okay, can someone read seventh translation?
Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, the first created being and the most powerful demigod in this universe is Lord Brahma, who is always responsible for developing universal affairs. Born directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he dedicates his activities to the welfare of the entire universe, for he knows the purpose of the universal creation. This supremely powerful Lord Brahma, accompanied by his associates and the personified Vedas, left his own abode in the highest planetary system and descended to the place of Prince Priyavratha's meditation.
Yeah. So in this verse, it is mentioned how Brahmaji actually now comes because Swayambhu Manu was not able to handle. Swayambhu Manu was the father of Priyavrat, and Narada was a powerful spiritual master. So Narada was heavily supporting the stand of Priyavrat to not succumb to the demand of Swayambhu Manu. And Swayambhu Manu felt kind of weak in his arguments. So here comes Brahma. So Prabhupada writes in the purport one thing about which he always writes whenever such situations come. He says that how the Supreme Lord has made a system. So there are Manus, there are demigods, okay? And then on the earthly planet there are kings. Then he has even made parents, and so he's made layers of leaderships, and everyone is actually bound to follow like the order of the superior, ideally. So it's a very safe system actually when you have layers of leadership. It's like shock absorbers. Even if some shock comes at one end, the whole thing should not collapse. Like Prabhupada said, GBC system. So that if there is one person, I mean, it's very risky actually. Even in any temple also, there are multiple leadership layers, or even in one layer there are multiple people. So then it's always very safe and strong. And another thing Prabhupada explains about the importance of austerities to attain spiritual realization. Like he talks about Brahma. And one thing he very specifically mentions, I'll just read it out. To convince Priyavrat that it was necessary for him to follow the Vedic injunctions and accept responsibility of ruling over the world, Lord Brahma also brought with him the personified Vedas, his constant associates. So like here is Brahma who is also coming with full determination. No, I'll convince you. So
how many personified Vedas are there?
Yeah.
How many? Any idea?
No, I guess it must be like one personality. I don't know. Never read singular.
No, a number.
I don't know.
Why ask him a number? We'll investigate.
I heard once in Govardhan Eco Village, I'm assuming you all must have heard of GV. So there was a management meeting, and His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was also there. And the discussion was on funds, because Radhanath Maharaj had originally kept an idea that don't ask people for any cost of staying in various rooms and all. But then, like here you ask for donations, right? You just give the book. So in India, there are most of the parts, if you do that, you'll be gone. Like, It depends on where you are. So same thing happened with GV. So Radhanath Maharaj inspired spiritually, and they all kept like that. That pay as you like. Paul, they used to say, pay as you like. So only problem was they got bankrupt. After some initial few months or a year or so, they really got bankrupt. And then there was this emergency meeting where they wanted to change the system. So there were different discussions happening, and Gaurang Prabhu had come up with all the plans and presentation. No, Maharaj, we're going to keep specific charges, fixed charges for different varieties of rooms. And Maharaj said, no, you understand, this is for the preaching mission, this and that. Maharaj said we should love and inspire people, and they'll contribute when their hearts are touched. So Maharaj was again saying, pay as you like. So then Maharaj asked the other brahmacharis. So they wanted to love Maharaj, but they also knew that. So like one devotee said, Maharaj, we can say pay as much as you like. Maharaj smiled, yeah, that's nice, but we should not force things. The whole thing was going on. So Gaurav just, got up and he went out and started just strolling there. So Maharaj said, Gauranga, come back. And Gauranga said, no, I'm not coming. Gauranga said, I don't want to offend my spiritual master. So Maharaj went out and Maharaj said, no, please come in, we'll discuss. He said, Maharaj, there is no discussion. You are only telling what to do. And you are a spiritual master. What can I do? So Maharaj said, no. We will peacefully discuss. We'll discuss. I will not tell. We will discuss. And then Maharaj brought him. So he sat. Then Maharaj said, so we'll discuss in such a way that we can convince him lovingly. Gaurang said, no. Gaurang was telling us that Maharaj fixes the match before the match even begins. So actually that same thing I'm just seeing it. Brahma is coming, but he has kind of conveyed through his smile that, see, I've come here to do that only. And you should agree. But Maharaj told him one very important thing then in the end. Maharaj said, no. Although you understand what I'm trying to do, and in spirit, I think we all agree. But I also understand your difficulty. But Maharaj said, I want you to agree with your own sweet will and take responsibility. Of course, that's another thing that later on Maharaj himself agreed, okay, you put whatever, because they were not unable to run the place. So then, so now if you go, you'll actually find fixed price. But the thing is that Brahmaji also came with that intent that, no, I'll convince you, even though you are also determined not to get convinced. So that's the power of love actually. So many a times Prabhupada also, His Holiness Satsurmaya writes in Leelamrit one place, that out of love Prabhupada was giving them instructions, and out of love they were following his instructions and spreading Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Yeah, so maybe someone like to read 8th.
Before?
No, bro, 8th verse. Did we read 7th one, right?
You didn't read the first one, though, right?
Yeah, we just discussed, bro, like
Okay.
what.
Okay. As Lord Brahma descended on his carrier, the great swan, all the residents of the planets named Siddhaloka, Gandharvaloka, Satyaloka, and Charnaloka, as well as great sages and demigods flying in their different airplanes, assembled within the canopy of the sky to receive Lord Brahma and worship him. As he received respect and adoration from the residents of the various planets, Lord Brahma appeared just like the full moon, surrounded by illuminating stars. Lord Brahma's great swan then arrived at the border of Gandhamadana Hill and approached Prince Priyavratha, who was sitting there.
Yeah. So when there are two authorities who may have equivocal instructions, and it's not possible to like satisfy both, then we have to go to the higher authority. Then just like Brahma is coming here, because Swayambhu Manu and Narada, they're kind of an equal platform, but they both are having two extreme stands. And so Priyavratha's dilemma can only be resolved by an even higher authority. So Prabhupada talks about interplanetary travels between the different planets in the cosmos. He says that the interplanetary system undoubtedly exists, and residents of different planets may go from one to another. On this earth, however, we have not invented any machine that can go directly from one planet to the other, although an unsuccessful attempt has been made to go directly to the moon. So Prabhupada takes this opportunity to hit upon this whenever possible. So actually our ashram or our situation or our position is good only as long as it allows us to serve Krishna. So there is a classical example of King Prataprudra in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected giving him mercy because he was a Vishay, he was a king. So Mahaprabhu said, "Arey, he is always amidst all the royal things, and he's like enjoying sense gratification always. So I am a sannyasi, I want to keep away from him. And he must be a sense gratifier, so I don't want to, I'll not give him my mercy." So when he came to know Prataprudra Maharaj, so he made a statement to Gopinath Acharya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and other personalities. Like, he said that if my being a king, actually he was the king of the best provinces in India that time. Because in India, Eastern province was actually the most opulent one. Even when Britishers colonized India, they went to Calcutta. Calcutta was the capital. East India was the place. And this person was ruling from East India, he was ruling Southern India as well, like up to the province of Madras. Yeah. So he was like the richest person at that time on the planet. But he says, Kiba Rajya, Kiba Deha, Sava Akarana. Yadi Ami, if I'm not able to receive the mercy of Lord Chaitanya because of being a king, then this Rajya, this kingdom, this Deha, this royal body, and these opulences, they are actually of no use. They are actually hurdles, for me. So let me give them up. Sava Akaran. There is no good use, actually. So we see in the character of Maharaj Prataprudra mentioned in the couple of chapters in Madhya Leela. Very, very beautiful character. So there are like 8 reasons why Mahaprabhu finally gives him his mercy. So one was that he remained longing. He never became arrogant or, okay, leave it. Anyway, I also don't want. So, no. Second reason, he became like a humble menial servant. He started sweeping the road in front of the Jagannath cart. So even though he was a king, he took the role of a menial servant. Third reason is mentioned, he was not envious, rather he was serving the servants of Lord Chaitanya. So when this personality, Ramananda Rai was just a small servant of Prataprudra Maharaj in one of his provinces in southern India. But when he comes to Jagannath Puri and say that I wish to retire because Mahaprabhu is wanting to have my services. Not that he became envious. I am not getting mercy. You let me send you to some far off place. Let me put you in jail or something. Or let me not allow you to be retired. He says, no, immediately retire. If you are able to give pleasure to Mahaprabhu, at least you are fortunate. And I'll give you double salary as pension. Now this is unheard of. Everybody will retire immediately before. So this is the kind of non-envious attitude and trying to assist the servants. Okay, if you are able to serve better and Krishna is being pleased by your service, let me assist you. That is the nature of Srimati Radharani as mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita Anta Leela. Like Ashlishyava Pagraha. Krishna if you are getting more pleasure with some other gopi, I'll go to that gopi and get her for you. You know. So for a woman to do that, it's so difficult. Like Sita Maya, for her, she says that the greatest gift Lord Ram gave me was Ekapatni Vrata. That he took that vow that I'll never accept conjugal relationship with any other woman other than you in my entire life. So that's like Maryada, it's like highly principled. And for Sita, that was the highest gift which Lord Ram gave. But Radharani is going out of her way and saying that if Krishna is more pleased with other gopis, I'll myself go and, beg at their lotus feet. Please come. So this is Krishna, whether you embrace me or you reject me. So Prataprata Maharaj showed that character of extraordinary non-envy. And then fourth was like he was like he followed the instructions of the devotees, and he went to Jagannath Vallabh garden and he was just serving Mahaprabhu's lotus feet by massaging when Mahaprabhu was tired. Fifth was he didn't carry the identity and attitude of a king. When Mahaprabhu asked him, "Who are you?" He was also dressed like a very simple, like a simple peasant or someone. And he says that Mahaprabhu, I am nobody. He didn't say, I'm by the way, I'm the king. He said, I am nobody. I'm just a servant of your servants. And now it is my wish that you also kindly accept me as servant of your servants. Because they have accepted you, you have not. So, the attitude of Prataprata Maharaj was so pleasing to Lord Chaitanya. He was willing to give up his kingdom also. Sixth reason, they say that he was so happy and appreciative of the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. He would just glorify, and he would ask Gopinath Acharya to please tell me who is that devotee, who is that devotee. Seventh reason is explained when he saw the Sankirtan of the devotees. So there is a chapter like very he's there on the top, some place, and he's watching like. So see, as a king, that to a great celebrated king in India, he was used to seeing many artistic performances because the best of the people would come to his court, and they would give some exhibition of their artistic talents, like world has got talent, America's got talent, that type of. So he was used to seeing the best of the performances, and yet when he sees this deeply devotional musical performance by simple devotees of Lord Chaitanya, he says, Asho Madhura Kirtan, this kind of sweet Kirtan, I have never heard, I've never seen, I've never witnessed. What is this? And then Gopinath Acharya says, this is directly descended from the spiritual world because Krishna himself is there. So he believed also on the words of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya confirmed that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. And Gopinath Acharya said that this Kirtan is from the spiritual world. So he not only deeply appreciated the Sankirtan, but he also had total faith in these devotees. Eighth reason is explained that he was grateful even for like being ill-treated. So in the Jagannath Rath Yatra, this Vakreshwar Pandit was dancing, and Lord Chaitanya was dancing. They were dancing very intensely, and Sankirtan was going on. That 7 Kirtan parties and all that. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining that there is this instance where his servant Govinda, I don't remember actually who was Govinda was Chaitanya's servant. Servant's name is given, but I am not able to recollect. Hari. Okay, anyway, so there is this his servant Hari someone. So he is going ahead and trying to cite people because so much rush is there now. So the king wishes to see the dance of Vakreshwar Pandit and Lord Chaitanya. But the problem is in middle there are many devotees, and especially Srivas Pandit. So wherever Lord Chaitanya would, he would also move. So for king it was becoming little. So this, I think Hariharan or someone. Harichandan, yeah, Harichandan, correct. Thank you, Prabhu. So this Harichandan felt that it is his duty to remove the person. Sometimes some senior devotee comes and, Prabhu, Maharaj is coming. He doesn't see who's there. And people get offended actually. So, so behind King was there and he was just removing, hey, move, move. And Srivas Pandit in general is a very humble Vaishnava. But when he's in ecstasy, so he just, who is this rascal who is, he just turned around and he didn't see who is there, who is not there. While turning only, he had his hand ready. And he just slapped very tightly. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, the exact word used is lafa. Lafa is like powerful slap. So this Harichandan, he went to the side and he just fell down and he was shocked. Nobody had ever dealt with him like that. Like people who are simple brahmacharis who are secretaries of some great spiritual master, they also have attitude. You can only go through me sometimes. So they know they are also great souls. One time, one devotee telling, "But he didn't pick my call. I am servant of Maharaj. He didn't pick my call. How can he not pick?" So we can just imagine how Harichandan must be feeling. Then this guy slapped me. So he was about to get up and give him back with interest. And then this king came to him. It is said that Pratapruta Maharaj knelt down on his knees and he just picked up his face in his hand. He said, "Arey, show me your cheek. Your cheek is so fortunate place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not even willing to touch me. But his dear servant Srivas has slapped you. You're so fortunate." Now this was a total different perspective for this guy. He just couldn't fathom what. No, he hit me. Yeah, that's what he hit you. You're so fortunate. He touched you.
Yeah.
So Harichandan Harichandan couldn't understand. He thought that maybe the king has gone mad, crazy. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this. He noticed this. And Mahaprabhu said, if you can value even the ill treatment given by my devotee, then you really love me. So he was like, so there were these reasons were getting added up, added up, added up. And finally, when he just presented himself before Mahaprabhu, following the instructions of devotees. There's one more instance mentioned where Lord Nityanand Prabhu, he said to Mahaprabhu, he will die if you do not give him your mercy. Mahaprabhu said, see, if you push me, I'll go to Alarna. Do you guys want me to go away from Jagannath Puri? Then Nityananda says, okay, at least come to a middle solution. You don't go to you don't leave. At least give your upper garment. So that's like he should have some encouragement, some hope against hope. So then Mahaprabhu agrees to give that. And receiving that upper garment, this Pratavrata Maharaj actually he becomes ecstatic. He gets so much hope and joy. And he starts worshipping that garment as good as the deity of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu had been noticing all these varieties of reasons, which actually uh, prove that this devotee's devotion and love was very, very true, very genuine, very pure, very mature. So similarly here actually uh, we find that Narada and Swayambhu Manu, although they were having their stand, which was also for devotional service only, for pleasing Krishna, yet they were humble enough to change. They were willing to change. So it's not like if Brahmaji would have taken stand of Narad Munis, then Swayambhu Manu would have had some problem. We're very sure that he also would have agreed. So that is the beauty of devotional service, that whatever is coming in middle of us and pleasing Krishna, we're willing to give it up. Just like Pratapruta Maharaj was willing to give up. Even the big kingdom and everything, willing to give up. So that's the entire idea. I heard that George Harrison was told by Prabhupada not to join full time.
Yeah, Prabhupada.
Because Prabhupada said that will have two problems. One is the world will misunderstand because such a personality as you, it will become a big news. And Prabhupada said, more importantly, in your own position as you are, you're able to serve Krishna so well. You continue with your music and sing for Krishna, sing the glories of Krishna, and entire world is relishing. So Hare Krishna became a household word thanks to George Harrison. And Prabhupada even told him about initiation. You're already initiated. Harry's son. Harrison. Hari's son. Right? Yeah. Progeny. We'll just read maybe one more text. Anyone would like to read? Text 9.
Lord Brahma, the father of Narada Muni, is the supreme person within this universe. As soon as Narada saw the great swan, he could understand that Lord Brahma had arrived. Therefore, he immediately stood up along with Swabambhuvamanu and his son Priyavratha, whom Narada was instructing. Then they folded their hands and began to worship Lord Brahma with great respect.
Yeah, thank you. So can you also read the purport?
As stated in the previous verse, Lord Brahma was accompanied by other demigods, but his specific carrier was the great swan. Therefore, as soon as Narada Muni saw the swan, he could understand that his father, Lord Brahma, who is also known as Hiranyagarbha, was arriving. Thus he immediately stood up with Swabambhuvamanu and his son Priyavratha to receive Lord Brahma and offer him respect.
So we see here in Srimad Bhagavatam the attitude of all these three, Swayambhu Manu, Narada, and Priyavratha. How respectful they were and how open-hearted they were in receiving Brahma and then also being instructed by him. Because they understood that Brahmaji is representing Sri Krishna. On the other hand, we see Romaharshan Sutta, who was not respectful to Balaramji. Although Balaramji is as good as the personality of Godhead himself, he is, the servitor personality of Godhead. And Romaharshan Sutta was just a jiva. At least he should have stood up, and that's why we welcome the deities or we greet Prabhupada when even in the middle of class, right, when the altar is open or closed. So Romaharshan Sutta it is explained like very, very arrogant, very proud, and therefore Balramji came and just delivered him. Another example in Bhagavatam 6th canto is that of Indra in couple of instances. One, when Durvasa Muni gave him a garland, he was disrespectful. He just thought, what use is of garland? What is the monetary value? So just threw that to Airavat, his elephant. An elephant is an animal ultimately. So he also thought, this is not even a drop for my diet. What is this garland? So he just threw it on the ground and then crushed it with his legs. So Durvasa Muni felt as if he was crushed because he gave that gift and he gave it as a blessing. So Indra was disrespectful, and then all the demigods had to pay the price. Similarly, in another instance, when Brahaspati, the guru of demigods, when he arrives in Indra's court, Indra didn't even get up. Indra was so busy receiving respect that he was too enchanted by it, and so he neglected to pay respect. He didn't do any wrong, but he just neglected to pay respects to Brahaspati. Third example is Devanand Pandit in Chaitanya Charitamrita, or I believe it is in Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Devanand Pandit, So Devanand Pandit was, he was having such high estimation of himself that I am speaking Chaitanya Charitamrita class or Bhagavatam class, whatever. I think it was Bhagavatam. I am speaking Bhagavatam class, and how is it that you are disturbing? Because there was one Mataji who was just constantly chanting. Not that she was singing kirtans or something. Because she had such devotion that she was very humble, but her heart was so much into chanting the Lord's name that she was unable to stop. And she behaved very, very, what do you say, like humble. She said, no, I'm very sorry. She herself was feeling bad. And it's not like she was creating a big disturbance or something. Nothing. It's just maybe maybe he could have requested, okay, can you, Mataji, just sit in the corner so that, the sound doesn't disturb or something. Or he could have dealt in a better way. But then he offered it. Another time, they threw Srivas Thakur out, you know. So actually, because of these offenses, because of not being able to value or respect the devotees, they landed up in trouble. But on the other hand, here we see the respect which they are offering, even though they know that he has come to change our opinions. So one should also have a strong opinion, even if one has in Krishna consciousness, only respectfully and humbly enough, uh, wanting to please Krishna. And if something else is seeming to please Krishna better, then one should be willing to change one's opinion. I remember when I was sent, some of us were sent for service from a Pune temple. So we joined Pune in like 2011 March, and then some of us were sent like after a few months of training. So I was asking Prabhuji, what is my service? Like, when you're sending me there, he said, you serve your superior, whatever he says. I said, okay, that's a little too much. So then I said, so there were some situations like again and again, some changes were there. So I asked Prabhuji, so what if there are too many changes like for you? He said, even if there are 1 million changes in every day, like in priorities, you should change 1 million times. And he said, what is your identity? I said, what? So he said, you are XYZ Das. Like that devotee is Krishna Das. So he said, you are Krishna Das Das. You are not Achyut Mohan Das. So actually, he said that that's how you can please Krishna the best. So this willingness to be very, very, how do you say it? It's malleable, I think. Is that the right word? The willingness to be very, very malleable in the hands of Guru and Krishna, that's very pleasing. At the same time, it cannot be done artificially to that degree. So we have the example, parallel example in Bhagavatam of Chatush Kumaras. Chatush Kumaras rejected Brahmaji's order to get married. So were they wrong? No, they were equally right as was Priyavratha, because they said that when it comes to ashram, choice of ashram, one has to specify. When it comes to choice of service, one can try as much as possible. But when it comes to ashram, one has to specify, okay, I'll be able to serve better in this. It's not lack of surrender. Yeah. So these are principles given by various acharyas in their commentary. Can we just do one more verse because we'll cover this section. The 11th verse onwards is Brahmaji's instructions. Let's try to be quick. Anyone like to read translation?
Yes. Yes.
Dear King Parikshit, because Lord Brahma had finally descended from Satyaloka to Bhuloka, Narada Muni, Prince Priyavratha, and Swayambhuva Manu came forward to offer him objects of worship and to praise him in highly qualified language according to Vedic etiquette. At that time, Lord Brahma, the original person of this universe, felt compassion for Priyavratha and looking upon him with a smiling face, spoke to him as follows.
Yeah. So this is a very important comment. There is a very important comment by some acharya. They say that Brahma felt compassion. Brahma was not speaking out of anger. Brahma was not speaking out of pride that I am the superior here. Let me instruct you. So there is one verdict in one of the shastras where it says, even if a guru, a Diksha guru or a Shiksha guru, proudly instructs the disciple, then he will also fall down because of offending the disciple, who is also a Vaishnava. A guru has to have a heart full of love and compassion, a heart full of well-wishing thoughts for the disciple. Only then does he have the authority to look for discrepancies in the disciple and try to correct. Otherwise, it's not like just because he's a superior or senior, so he gets a permanent license to treat him the way, or just it's not like the husband treats the wife as a inferior or like a bonded servant or something. No. A teacher, a parent, a guru, or a superior authority, or a king, or a brahmana, So any of these authorities who are naturally supposed to be acting as authorities can only do so if their heart is full of compassion for the person subordinate. So Brahma is going to speak like this. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, just in the middle of the purport. Narada Muni had come to advise Priyavratha about the value of spiritual life, knowledge, renunciation, and bhakti. And Lord Brahma knew that Narada's instructions were very impressive. Narada is like a big celebrity, big preacher. Therefore, unless Lord Brahma personally went to Gandhamadana hill to request Priyavratha, Lord Brahma knew that Prince Priyavratha would not accept his father's order. His father was not a celebrated preacher, maybe a simple pujari. Narada Muni will be quoting verses. Brahma's purpose was to break Priyavratha's determination. Therefore, Brahma first looked upon Priyavratha with compassion. His smile and compassionate features also indicated that although Brahma would request Priyavratha to accept household life, Priyavratha would not be out of touch with devotional service. By the blessings of a Vaishnava, everything is possible. It's a golden statement. Basically, Brahmaji was coming to tell that this step would be a blessed step. So because any step is anything we do in our life, if it is accompanied with blessings, it will lead to good results. I'll just end with this one instance. So it was around year 2013. So I wanted to do something to serve my superiors, to assist my superiors in the service which I was given, preaching in India. So there was a college, like, I mean, there is still there. So it's one of the premier colleges of the country. And I was trying to send like one or two devotees there to preach, but it was little distant, like, and there were some factors at that time. So I was like, I had this passion thing in me, and then I just, so I was trying to convince my authority and my mentor, like Radha Shampoo. So they both of them, that let us do this Prabhuji, and I gave all my reasons and all. So what happened is, because I was into that service, and they saw that this guy's mind is already made up, I don't know why they thought maybe I'll not listen. What? So I remember that they half-heartedly just, okay, do if you want to do. They were not very happy actually about it. And I could clearly understand that they're not happy. But then I was, okay, I'll make them happy, I'll do it anyways. Like, anyway, I've asked. And that project failed, and those devotees left Krishna consciousness. Of course, they later came back because I was feeling so much guilt. It was like so heavy on my heart that I did this. Because I felt I am responsible. Because they had their reasons, the young devotees. So that I learned a big lesson actually. Because although it was all perfect service, like all validated and everything. Only thing it was not blessed. Okay, someone may be neutral, but some senior Vaishnava has to bless it also. Otherwise, how do we know Krishna is? On the other hand, we see that when some seva is blessed seva, and even though, like, there is a verse now, by remembering Lord Chaitanya, even the impossible becomes possible. Actually, I've seen, like, crazy things happening. I mean, crazy targets being achieved, and how would this happen, that happening? It's not just in terms of like accomplishment, I'm saying, but in terms of, oh, something was difficult, but it did happen because the desires and blessings of Vaishnavas was there. When Vaishnavas bless and desire, then it is said, along with instruction comes blessing. And that blessing empowers us. So that's what Brahmaji is saying here. That you may consider that being a king and accepting household life is so difficult, and it's a great risk. But I am assuring you that the blessings are also there. It's not just the service or the risk, but the blessings are. Focus on the blessings. Don't tell Krishna, there is so much Maya. Tell Maya there is a wonderful Krishna. So the power of blessings, is being like kind of indicated by Lord Brahma. So, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
प्रभुपाद की
जय। Jai. His basic Mohan Prabhu.
प्रभुपाद welcome. Your good name?
Connor.
Connor.